Hi guys, I'm back. Today is the 26th of July 2021. Today I'm going to read Joshua 24, Judges 1-4, Proverbs 26, and Psalm 59. Let's get started. Joshua gathered all Israel's tribes together at Shechem. He sent for the elders, leaders, judges, and officials of Israel. They came and stood there in the sight of the Lord God. Joshua spoke to all the people. He said, "The Lord is the God of Israel." He says, "Long ago, your people lived east of the Euphrates River. They worshipped other gods there. Your people included Terah. He was the father of Abraham and Nahor. I took your father Abraham from the land east of the Euphrates River. I led him all through Canaan. I gave him many children and grandchildren. I gave him Isaac. To Isaac I gave him Esau, Jacob and Esau. I gave the hill country of Seir to Esau, but Jacob and his family went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron, and I made the people of Egypt suffer because of the plagues I sent on them. But I brought you out of Egypt. When I brought your people out, they came to the Red Sea. The people of Egypt chased them with chariots and with men on horses. They chased them all the way to the sea. Your people cried out to me for help, so I put darkness between you and the people of Egypt, and I swept them into the sea. You completely covered them. Your own eyes saw what I did to them. After that, you lived in the desert for a long time. I brought you to the land of the Amorites. They lived east of the Jordan River. They fought against you, but I handed them over to you. I destroyed them to make room for you. So then you took over the land. Balak the son of Zippor went prepared to fight against Israel. Balak was the king of Moab. He sent for Balaam, the son of Beor. Balak wanted Balaam to put a curse on you, but I would not listen to Balaam's curses. So he blessed you again and again, and I saved you from his power. Then you went across the Jordan River. He came to Jericho. Its people fought against you. So did the Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, Girgashites, Hivites, and Jebusites. But I handed them over to you. I sent hornets ahead of you. They drove your enemies out to make room for you. That included the 2 Amorite kings. You did not do that with your own swords and bows. So I gave you a land you had never found. I gave you sea you would not build. You now live in them, and you are eating the fruit of vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. So have respect for the Lord. 7. Be completely faithful to him. Throw away the gods your people worshipped east of the Euphrates River and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. But suppose you don't want to serve him, then choose for yourselves right now whom you will serve. You can choose the God your people served east of the Euphrates River, or you can serve the gods of the Amorites. After all, you are living in their land. But as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. Then the people answered Joshua, "We will never desert the Lord. We would never serve other gods. The Lord our God himself brought us and our parents up out of Egypt. He brought us out of that land when we were slaves. With our own eyes, we saw those great signs we did. He kept us safe on our entire journey. He kept us safe as we traveled through all the nations. He drove them out to make room for us. That included the Amorites. They also lived in the land too. We too will serve the Lord. That's because he is our God." So that Joshua said to the people, "You aren't able to serve the Lord. He is a holy God. He is a just God. He won't forgive you when you disobey him. He won't forgive you when you sin against him. Suppose you desert the Lord. Suppose you serve the gods that people turn again. That people in other lands serve. If you do, he will turn against you. He will bring trouble on you. He will destroy you, even though he has been good to you." But the people said to Joshua, "No, we will serve the Lord." Then Joshua said, "You are witnesses against yourselves. You said you have chosen to serve the Lord." "Yes, we are witnesses," they replied. "Now then," said Joshua, "throw away the statues of the gods that are among you. People from other lands serve those gods. Give yourselves completely to the Lord. He is the God of Israel." Then the people said to Joshua, "We will serve the Lord our God. We will obey him." On that day, Joshua made a covenant for the people. There at Shechem, he reminded them of its rules and laws. He recorded these things in the book of the law of God. Then he got a large stone. He set it up in Shechem under the oak tree. It was near the place that had been set apart for the Lord. "Look," he said to all the people, This stone will be a witness against it. He has heard all the words the Lord has spoken to us. Suppose you are faithful to your God, then the stone will be a witness against you. Joshua sent the people away. He sent all of them to their own shares of land. Then Joshua, the servant of the Lord, died. He was the son of Nun. He was 110 years old when he died. His people buried him at Timnath Serah on his own property. It's north of Mount Gash in the hill country of Ephraim. Israel served the Lord as long as Joshua lived. They also served him as long as the elders lived. Those were the elders who lived longer than Joshua did. They had seen for themselves everything the Lord had done for Israel. The Israelites had brought Jacob's bones up from each. They buried his bones at Shechem in the piece of land Jacob had bought. He had bought it from the sons of Hamor. He had paid 100 pieces of silver for it. Hamor was the father of Shechem. That piece of land became the share that belonged to Joseph's children after him. Aaron's son Elzah died. He was buried at Gibeah in the hill country of Ephraim. Gibeah had been given to Elzah's son Phinehas. Judges 1-4. Joshua died. After that, the Israelites spoke to the Lord. They asked him, Who of us will go up first to fight against the Canaanites? The Lord answered, The tribe of Judah will go up. I have handed the land over to you. Then the men of Judah spoke to their fellow Israelites. They said, Come up with us. Come into the territory Joshua gave us. Help us fight against the Canaanites. Then we will go with you into your territory. So the men of Simeon went with him. When the men of Judah attacked, the Lord helped them. He handed the Canaanites and Perizzites over to him. They struck down 10,000 men at Bezek. The men of Judah found Adoni-Bezek there. They fought against him. They struck down the Canaanites and Perizzites. Adoni-Bezek ran away. The city of Judah chased him and caught him. Then they cut off his thumbs and big toes. Adoni-Bezek said, I cut off the thumbs and big toes of so many kings. I made them pick up scraps under my table. Now God has paid me back for what I did to him. The men of Judah brought Adoni-Bezek to Jerusalem. That's where he died. The men of Judah attacked Jerusalem and captured it. They set the city on fire. They killed his people with their swords. After that, the men of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites. Those Canaanites were living in the central hill country. They also fought against those living in the Negev desert in the western hills. Then the men of Judah marched out against the Canaanites living in Hebron. Hebron used to be called Kiriath Arba. The men of Judah won the battle over Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai. From Hebron they marched out against the people living in Debir. It used to be called Kiriath Sefer. Caleb said, I will give my daughter Aksa to be mine. I will give her to the man who attacks and captures Kiriath Sefer. Othniel captured it, so Caleb gave his daughter Aksa to him to be his wife. Othniel was the son of Kenaz. He was Caleb's younger brother. One day Aksa came to Othniel. She begged him to ask her father for a field. When she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, What can I do for you? She replied, Do me a special favor. You have given me some land in the Negev desert. Give me springs of water at Ursa. So Caleb gave her the upper and lower springs. Moses' father-in-law was a Kenite. His family went up from Jericho. Jericho was also known as the city of palm trees. His family went up with the people of Judah to the desert of Judah. They went there to live among its people. Those people were living in the Negev desert near Aran. The men of Judah marched out with their fellow Israelites, the men of Simeon. They attacked the people of Canaan living in Sephath. They set the city apart to the Lord in a special way to be destroyed. That's why the city was called Hormah. And the men of Judah captured Gaza, Ashkelon, and Ekron. And they also captured the territory around each of those cities. The Lord was with the men of Judah. They took over the central hill country, but they weren't able to drive the people out of the plains. That's because those people used chariots that had some iron parts. Moses had promised to give Hebron to Caleb, so Hebron was given to Caleb. He drove the 3 sons of Anak out of it. Yet the people of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites living in Jerusalem. So to this day they live there with the people of Benjamin. The tribes of Joseph attacked Bethel. The Lord was with them. They sent men to Bethel to check it out. It used to be called Luz. Those who were sent saw a man coming out of the city. They said to him, Show us how to get into the city. If you do, we'll see that you're treated well. So he showed them how to get in. The men of Joseph killed the people in the city with their swords, and they spared the man from Bethel. Joseph spared his whole family. Then he went to the land of the Hittites. He built a city there. He called it Luz. That's so its name to this day. But the tribe of Manasseh didn't drive out the people of Bethshan. They didn't drive out the people of Tanach, Dor, Iblim, and Megiddo. And they didn't drive out the people of the children that are around their cities either. That's because the Canaanites had made up their minds to continue living in that land. Later, Israel became stronger. Then they forced the Canaanites to work hard for them. But Israel never drove them out completely. The tribe of Ephraim didn't drive out the Canaanites living in Gezer, so the Canaanites continued to live among them. The tribe of Zebulun didn't drive out the Canaanites living in Kitron and Nahalol, so the Canaanites lived among them. But the people of Zebulun forced the Canaanites to work hard for them. The tribe of Asher didn't drive out the people living in Akko and Tim. They didn't drive out the people of Alab, Akzib, Helba, Aphek, and Rehob. So the people of Aphek lived among the Canaanites who were in the land. The tribe of Naphtali didn't drive out the people living in Beth Shemesh and Beth Adan. So the people of Naphtali had lived among the Canaanites who were in the land. The people of Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath were forced to work hard for them. The Amorites made the people of Dan stay in the central country. They didn't let them come down into the plain. The Amorites made up their minds to stay in Mount Heres. They also stayed in Idalah and Shawim, but the power of the tribe of Joseph grew. Then the Amorites were forced to work hard for them. The border of the Amorites started at Scorpion Pass. It went to Selah and even past it. And the angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim. Then he said to the Israelites, I brought you up out of Egypt. I led you into this land. It is the land I promised to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. At that time, I said, I will never break the covenant I made with you, so you must not make a covenant with the people of this land. Instead, you must tear down their altars, but you have disobeyed me. Why did you do it? I said something else. I said, I will not drive out those people to make room for you. They and their gods will become traps for you. The angel of the Lord spoke these things towards the Israelites. Then the people wept out loud. So that place was called Bochim. The people offered sacrifices there to the Lord. Joshua sent the Israelites away. Then they went to take over the land. All of them went to their own chosen land. The people served the Lord as long as Joshua lived. They also served him as long as the elders lived. Those were the elders who lived longer than Joshua did. They had seen all the great things the Lord had done for Israel. Joshua, the servant of the Lord, died. He was the son of Nun. He was 110 years old when he died. His people buried him on his own property at Timnath Heres. It's north of Mount Gaash in the hill country of Ephraim. All the people of Joshua's time joined all the members of their families who had already died. Then those who were born after them grew up. They didn't know the Lord and what he had done for Israel. The Israelites did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They served gods that were named Baal. They deserted the Lord, the God of the people. He brought them out of Egypt, but now the Israelites served other gods and worshipped them. They served the gods of the nations that were around them. They made the Lord angry because they deserted him. They served Baal. They also served female gods that were named Ashtoreth. The Lord became angry with the Israelites, so he handed them over to robbers. The robbers stole everything from them. The Lord handed the Israelites over to their enemies all around them. Israel wasn't able to fight against them anymore and win. Then, when the Israelites went out to fight, the Lord fell against them. He let their enemies win the battle over them. The Lord had warned them that it would happen, and now they were suffering terribly. Then the Lord gave them leaders. The leaders saved them from the power of those robbers. But the people wouldn't listen to their leaders. They weren't faithful to the Lord. They served other gods and worshipped them. They didn't obey the Lord's commands. As their people before them had done, they quickly turned away from the path their people had taken. When the Lord gave them a leader, he was with that leader. The Lord saved the people from the power of their enemies. He did as long as the leader lived. The Lord felt very sorry for the people. They groaned because of what their enemies did to them. Their leaders treated them badly. But when their leader died, the people returned to their evil ways. The things they did were even more simple than the things that other people before them had done. They served other gods and worshipped them. They refused to give up their evil practices. They wouldn't change their stubborn ways. So the Lord became very angry with the Israelites. He said, "This nation has broken my covenant. I made up with their people of old. This nation has not listened to me." Joshua left some nations in the land where he died. I will no longer drive out those nations to make room for Israel. I'll use those nations to test Israel. I'll see whether Israel will live the way I, the Lord, want them to. I'll see whether they will be like their people from God. I'll see whether they will follow my path. The Lord had let those nations remain in the land. He didn't drive them out right away. He didn't hand them over to Joshua. The Lord left some nations in the land. He left them to test the Israelites who hadn't lived through any of the wars in Canaan. He wanted to teach the men in Israel who had never been in battle before. He wanted them to learn how to fight. So he left the 5 rulers of the Philistines. He left the people of Canaan and the people of Sidon. He left the Hivites living in the Lebanon mountains. They lived in the area between Mount Baal Hermon and Lebo Hamath. The Lord left those nations where they were to test the Israelites. He wanted to see whether they would obey his commands. He had given those people those commands through Moses to their people long ago. So the Israelites lived among the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. They married their daughters of their people. They gave their own daughters to the sons of those people. They served the gods of those people. The Israelites did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They forgot the Lord their God. They served gods that were named Baal. They also served female gods that were named Asherah. So the Lord was very angry with Israel. He handed them over to the power of Rishathaim, the king of Aram and Naharaim. For 8 years Israel was under his rule. They cried out to the Lord. And then he provided someone to save them. The man's name was Othniel, the son of Kenaz. He was Caleb's younger brother. The Spirit of the Lord came on Othniel, so he became Israel's leader. They went to war. The Lord handed over to them Cush and Rishathaim, the king of Aram. Othniel won the battle over him, so the land was at peace for 40 years. Then Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. Again the Israelites did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord gave Eglon the power over Israel. Eglon was the king of Moab. He got the Ammonites and the Amalekites to join him. All of them came and attacked Israel. They captured Jericho. Jericho was also known as the city of the palm trees. For 18 years the Israelites were under the rule of Eglon, the city king of Moab. Again the Israelites cried out to the Lord. He provided someone to save them. The man's name was Ehud, the son of Gera. Ehud was left-handed. He was from the tribe of Benjamin. The Israelites sent Ehud to Eglon, the king of Moab. They sent him to give the king what he required them to bring him. Ehud had made a sword that had 2 edges. It was about 1.5 feet long. He tied it to his right leg under his clothes. Eglon, the king of Moab, was a very fat man. Ehud gave him the gift he had brought. After that, Ehud sent away those who had carried it. Then he came to the place where some statues of God stood near Gilgal. Ehud went back to Eglon. He said, "Your Majesty, I have a secret message for you." The king said to his attendants, "Leave us," and all his attendants left him. Then Ehud approached him. King Eglon was sitting alone in the upstairs room of his palace. Ehud said, "I have a message from God for you." So the king got up from his seat. Then Ehud reached out his left hand. He pulled out the sword tied to his right leg. He stuck it into the king's stomach. Even the handle sank in after the blow. Eglon sagged and fell to the floor. Ehud then pulled out the sword, and the fat closed over it. Ehud went out to the porch. He shut the doors of the upstairs room behind him. Then he locked them. After he had gone, the servants came. They found the doors of the upstairs room locked. They said, "Eglon must be going to the toilet in the inside room of the palace." So they waited for a long time. They waited so long they became worried that the king still didn't open the doors of the room. So they took a key and unlocked them. There they saw their king. He had fallen to the floor and was dead. While Eglon's servants had been waiting, Ehud had gone away. He had passed by the statues of gods and escaped to Syria. There in the hill country of Ephraim, he blew a trumpet. Then he led the Israelites down from the hills. Follow me, Ehud ordered. The Lord has handed your enemy Moab over to you. So they followed him down. They took over the only places where people could go across the Jordan River to get to Moab. They didn't let anyone go across. At that time, they struck down about 10,000 men in Moab. All those men were strong and powerful, but not even one escaped. That day, Moab was brought under the rule of Israel, so the land was at peace for 80 years. After Ehud, Shamgar became the next leader. He was the son of Anath. Shamgar struck down 6,000 Philistines with a large pointed stick used to drive oxen. He too saved Israel. After Ehud died, the Israelites once again did what was evil on the side of the Lord. So the Lord handed them over to the power of Jabin. He was the king in Canaan. He ruled in Hazel. The commander of his army was Sisera. He lived in Harosheth Hagoyim. Jabin used 900 chariots that had some iron parts. He treated the Israelites very badly for 20 years. So they cried out to the Lord for help. Deborah was a prophet. She was the wife of Lapidoth. She was leading Israel at that time. Under the palm tree of Deborah, she served the people as their judge. That place was between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. The Israelites went up to her. They came to have her decide cases for them. She so managed between them. Deborah sent for Barak. He was the son of Abinadab. Barak was from Kadesh in the land of Naphtali. Deborah said to Barak, "The Lord, the God of Israel, has given you a command." He says, "Go, take 10,000 men from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun with you. Then lead them up to Mount Tabor. I will lead Sisera into a trap. He is the commander of Jabin's army. I will bring him his chariots and his troops to the Kishon River. There I will hand him over to you." Barak said to him, "If you go with me, I'll go. But if you don't go with me, I won't go." "All right," Deborah said. "I'll go with you. But because of the way you are doing this, you won't receive any order. Instead, the Lord will hand Sisera over to a woman." So Deborah went to Kadesh with Barak. Then he sent for men from Zebulun and Naphtali, and 10,000 men followed him into battle. Deborah also went with him. Heber the Kenite had left the other Kenites. They came from the family line of Hobab. He was the brother-in-law of Moses. Heber set up his tent by the large tree in Zananim near Kadesh. Sisera was told that Barak, the son of Abinadab, had gone up to Mount Tabor. So Sisera gathered together his 900 chariots that had some iron parts. He gathered together all his men. He brought them from Harosheth Hagoyim to the Kishon River. Then Deborah said to Barak, "Go, today the Lord will hand Sisera over to you. Hasn't the Lord gone ahead of you?" So Barak went down Mount Tabor. So his 10,000 men followed him. As Barak's men marched out, the Lord drove Sisera away from the field of battle. The Lord scattered all of Sisera's chariots. Barak's men struck down Sisera's army with their swords. Sisera got down from his chariot. He ran away on foot. Barak chased Sisera's chariots and army. Barak chased them all the way to Harosheth Hagoyim. All Sisera's troops were killed by swords. Not even one was left. But Sisera ran away on foot. He ran to the tent of Jael. She was the wife of Heber the Kenite. Sisera ran there because there was a treaty between Heber's family and Jabin, the king of Hazel. Jael went out to meet Sisera. "Come in, sir," she said. "Come right in. Don't be afraid." So he entered her tent. Then she covered him with a blanket. "I'm thirsty," he said. "Please give me some water." So Jael opened a bottle of milk. The bottle was made out of animal skin. She gave him a drink of milk. So then she covered him up again. "Stand in the doorway of the tent," he told her. "Someone might come by and ask you, 'Is anyone in there?' If that happens, say no." But Heber's wife, Jael, had picked up a tent stake and a hammer. She went quietly over to Sisera. He was lying there fast asleep. He was very tired. She drove the stake through his head right into the ground, so he died. Just then Barak came by because he was chasing Sisera. Jael went out to meet him. "Come right in," she said. "I'll show you the man you're looking for." So he went in with her. Sisera was lying there with the stake through his head. He was dead. On that day, God brought Jabin under Israel's control. He was a king in Canaan. Israel's power grew stronger and stronger against King David. The Israelites became so strong that they destroyed him. Proverbs 26. It isn't proper to honor a foolish person. That's like having snow in summer or rain at harvest time. A curse given for no reason is like a wandering bird or a flying sparrow. It doesn't go anywhere. A whip is for a horse and a harness for a donkey, but a beating is for a back. And a beating is for the backs of foolish people. Don't answer a foolish person in keeping with their foolish acts. If you do, you yourself will be just like them. Answer a foolish person in keeping with their foolish acts. If you do not, they will be wise in their own eyes. Sending a message in the head of a foolish person is like cutting off a feet or drinking poison. Improving the mouth of a foolish person is like disabled legs that are useless. Giving honor to a foolish person is like tying a stone in its leash. Improving the mouth of a foolish person is like a thorn in the hand of someone who is strong. And the only eyes of a foolish person or someone who is passing by is like a person who shoots arrows at just anybody. Foolish people who do the same thing, foolish things again, are like a dog that returns to where it's thrown up. Do you see a person who is wise in their earnest? There's more hope for a foolish person than for them. A person who doesn't want to work says, there's a lion in the road. There's an eagle lying wandering in the street. A person who doesn't want to work turns over in bed, just like a door that swings back and forth. A person who doesn't want to work leaves his hand in the plate. He acts as if he is too tired to bring his hand back up to his mouth. A person who doesn't want to work is wiser in his own eyes than 7 people who give careful answers. Don't be quick to get mixed up in someone else's fight. That's like grabbing a stray dog by its ears. Suppose a crazy person shoots flaming arrows that can kill. Suppose someone who looks to their neighbor and says, I was only joking, is just like that crazy person. If you don't avoid, your fire goes out. If you don't talk about others, arguing dies down. Coal glows and wood burns, and a person who argues stirs up conflict. The words of anyone who talks about others are like tasty bites of food. They go deep down inside you. All words that come from an evil heart are like a shiny coating on a clay pot. Enemies use their words as a mask. They hide their evil plans in their hearts. Even though what they say can be charming, don't believe them. That's because something God hates fill that person's heart. Their hatred can be hidden by lies, but their evil plans will be shown to everyone. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a big stone, it will roll back on them. If tongue that tells lies hates the people it hurts, and words that seem too crazy destroy. Psalm 59. God, save me from my enemies. Keep me safe from people who are attacking me. Save me from those who do evil. Save me from people who want to kill me. See how they hide and wait for me. Lord, angry people plan to harm me, even though I haven't hurt them in any way or sinned against them. I haven't done anything wrong to them, but they are ready to attack me. Rise up and help me. Look at what I'm up against. Lord God who rules over all. Rise up, God of Israel, punish all the nations. Don't show any mercy to those sinful people who have turned against me. My enemies are like a pack of barking dogs that come back to the city in the evening. They prowl around the city. Listen to what pours out of their mouth. The words of their lips are like swords. They think, who can hear us? But you laugh at them, Lord. You make fun of all those nations. You give me strength. I look to you. God, you are like a fool to me. You are my God, and I can depend on you. Then God will march out in front of me. He'll let me look down on those who tell lies about me. Lord, you are like a shield that keeps us safe. Don't kill my enemies all at once. If you do, my people will forget about it. You use your power to pull my enemies up by the roots like weeds. They have sinned with their mouths. Their lips have spoken evil words. They have cursed me and lied. Let them be caught in their pride, and burn them up in your anger. Burn them up until there isn't anything left of them. Then everyone from one end of the earth to the other will know that God rules over the people of Jacob. My enemies are like a pack of barking dogs that come back into the city in the evening. They prowl around the city. They wander around looking for food. They groan if they don't find something that will satisfy them. But I will sing about your strength. In the morning I will sing about your love. You are like a fort to me. You keep me safe in times of trouble. You give me strength. I sing praise to you. God, you are like a fort to me. You are my God, and I can depend on you. Now this done, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Please bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.